was eating at that table. You can't remember me? And then the waiter said, no, I can't. What happened to this waiter? So because of this story, researchers started to try to find reasons behind this. And then they concluded it's called Zeigarnik effect. It's the same like your song. Your friend sings a song to you, and then it keeps repeating in your brain. Okay? So the latest research about Zeigarnik effect, very interesting. In your brain, there is the conscious and the subconscious. Okay? When your friend sings a song to you, you listen. After a while, your friend left, and then the song repeats itself. What is happening in the brain is your subconscious is telling the conscious brain, saying that, hey, Mr. Conscious Brain, there is this song. Right? And then consciously, you hear this song. So based on this latest research, they start to realize why this effect is happening. It is because you have not done or you have not completed that thing that you're supposed to complete. Say, for example, if you are doing something halfway and then you just go and do other things, the thought will come back saying that you haven't finished what you're supposed to finish. That is the Zeigarnik effect. So when you look at the waiter itself, what was the waiter's job? The waiter's job is to come in, take order, serve them food, and then once the food is served, they're left. That's all. So in the waiter's mind, I already take their order, I already served the food, they already paid. It's like a checklist in the brain. In this case, the subconscious tick the checklist, and then the brain itself forget this thing. So if you haven't finished your job or the task that you're supposed to finish, your subconscious will come in and nag your conscious mind, saying that, hey, there is something you haven't done. So going back to your friend that came and sing to you, the only way for your brain to stop thinking about that song is to play that song from start to finish. Then your subconscious will say, oh, it's finished now. Then you'll forget about it. Huh? Yeah? So that is Zeigarnik effect itself. Huh? And then there's another thing in Zeigarnik itself is because the subconscious is like a grandmother or like a mother, keep nagging the subconscious mind. Another way, like song you have to finish listening the song. What about tasks? Let's say you got something to do, you're supposed to finish it, but then you haven't finished it. So the subconscious will come to the conscious mind and say, hey, there is this task, you haven't do it yet. Usually, once you thought of that, subconsciously you thought of that, you will say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Then maybe a few hours later, the subconscious will come back to the conscious again and say, hey, there's this task, you haven't finished. So what's then the correct way to answer to this subconscious? Huh? Of course, you can't scold your subconscious because the subconscious will keep coming back and say, hey, you haven't finished this. So it's like an alarm. So the only way to satisfy your subconscious, in this case, whenever he come back and say, you haven't finished a task, you then have to consciously think and say, okay, I got this task, I'm going to do it tomorrow at 3 p.m. when I'm in front of the computer. When you say that, your subconscious will leave. The more detailed it is on how you want to do it, the better it is. Yeah. It's the same as every New Year, we always write our New Year's resolution. You write 5, 10, 15, 20 resolution. But then every year you don't achieve it. Huh? And then your subconscious will keep coming in and say, hey, your New Year's resolution. And your conscious brain will say, I can't do it. What's happening to those goals? If you look closely at those goals, if you look closely at those goals, you start to realize between goals and goals, there is some conflict. It is conflicted. For example, I can set a goal of saying, I want to draw a 3D building design, an architecture building. That can be my goal. If I set that goal, right? But then consciously, I know I can't achieve that goal. Why? Because I don't even have a laptop. That's also the reason why when you write all your New Year's resolution, all these goals don't get achieved, because it is conflicting each other, and it is not detailed enough. So the only way to satisfy your subconscious is to make it as detailed as possible. So the other way of getting or increasing your willpower, one thing that this author mentioned is called habits. Habits of consistently doing something. Good habits like meditation in the morning. You make it a point. Right? Of course, when you're starting out, it's very troublesome. After a while, it becomes your habit. Then when you're doing that, your willpower will increase. Your self-control will increase as well. It's the same as brushing teeth. Everyone here brush teeth every day, right? It becomes a habit. You don't even think about it. That's why we call it the trigger automatic mental processes. It becomes automatic eventually, starting a habit. And then that is one of the ways to increase your willpower. Then the other way, some of our friends here might have been doing it. The religion Islam requires you to pray 5 times a day. When you start to see those people that actually pray 5 times a day, when they are praying, they're actually praying, reciting whatever they're supposed to recite. Right? Every day, consistently, until it becomes a habit, you start to see these people have a stronger willpower. Their self-control is stronger because they consistently do it every day. Whether it's rainy, sunny, night, day, creating habit, and planning. Planning is important as well. But then you don't go and do daily planning. Daily planning is the worst thing you can do. Daily planning is very similar to your New Year's resolution. Because when you plan for daily, sometimes there might have things that pop up suddenly, and then you can't finish it. Once you can't finish it, you start to fault yourself, saying that, oh man, I fall back. And then tomorrow comes again, you fall back again. Then after the 3rd or 4th day, you just ignore your goal completely. So when you want to plan, you plan for the month. You can do a monthly planning. And then at the same time, when you have all this in place, creating a habit, planning, habit like just now I said meditation, and then your prayers, planning. Another thing that you can do is actually storytelling. Talking to your friend, tell a story about yourself. Tell what kind of belief you have. Why storytelling? Because the act of telling forces you to organize your thought, your thinking. And at the same time, it will monitor your behavior. So when you tell people something, you're actually organizing the things that is in your head. And at the same time, you are monitoring your own behavior.
Some people, one friend, she like the storytelling. She story the same thing from time to time until I said I don't want to see her anymore.
Okay, it's very good that you actually pointed that out. I was actually a bit hesitant to talk about this. Your friend that is there in this chapter, in this book itself, they actually mentioned about this type of people. They're also called the narcissist people. Right? That means they only pay attention to themselves. Everything is me, 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 me. When you look at this type of people, their self-esteem is very high. Their self-esteem is very high. At the same time, on the surface, if you don't know this type of people, when you look at them, you feel like they are like the center of the universe. Everybody is attracted to them. Yeah, everybody is attracted to them. But then once you're attracted to this person, within a few days or a few months, you start to realize this person is not somebody I want to be associated with. Yeah, these are those narcissist people. Because most of the time because their self-esteem is high, usually the things that they are doing is usually me. They like to feel that feeling of being superior. So all the things that they do will make them feel, or when people see, make them feel superior. And then when you are with them, they will make you feel inferior. So they try to make themselves very good. And then in this case, they're sitting beside this person, he will make you feel down. So spending too much time with these type of people will actually make you feel down. So he will stand up, this person will stand up, rise higher and brighter, at the same time keep pushing you down.
I think everyone has this type of friend. Yeah.
Maybe.
But they are kind of popular.
They are very popular. Yeah. There seems to be everybody's favorite. But only the first few meetings. After a few months, they go and slip down to the bottom of the ranking already. Huh? Annoying already, yeah. So they have very, very, very high self-esteem. And then they like to be treated as special. You always need to treat him special. As long as you say things that make him normal or offend him, then this person get easily angry, agitated. So these are also the people that, even though they have a very high self-esteem, so they are too self-centered, too self-focused. So now it's up to you. At the end of the day, is your friend. You can choose to distance. Whatever you want to do to them is up to you. But by understanding willpower itself, willpower now we know is not connected to self-esteem. Because people that have too high self-esteem will become narcissists. Everything is about themselves. And then the last, of course, is the most important point, is monitoring. Willpower actually involves monitoring yourself. Just like when you create a habit, what you're doing is you're creating a belief of yourself. You're creating your belief. Another way of saying it is you're creating a bright line. For example, let's say you used to be a smoker, right? And then now you stop smoking. What you want to do, or to continue not smoking, is you need to create a bright line. So whenever people offer you cigarette, usually what will people say? Usually they'll say, no, I don't smoke. Same thing for the girls. The girls, when they are tempted to eat something sweet, to eat some snacks, what do? They'll say, I don't want to eat. They try to resist, right? The more you resist, the worse it becomes. Why? When you are resisting, you are using up willpower. And then once your willpower is finished, let's say at the end of the day, those things that you say you don't want to do, those things that you resisted, at the end of the day, you go and buy. Like in the morning, somebody offer you cheesecake, you say, no, thank you, it's too sweet. And then in the afternoon, somebody offer you bubble tea, you say, it's too sweet. And then come 7 p.m. at night, you go and buy both of these things and eat. So you don't reject, or you don't resist. So how to solve this problem? How to solve this problem? You don't reject people. You don't resist this type of temptation. All you need to do is just say, later. So when you say later, what are you doing? You are procrastinating. So this type of procrastination is called positive procrastination. When somebody offers you a cigarette, you say later. And then next person offers you something, you say later. Don't say no. Don't resist. Just say later. And then once you say later, you try to think about other things. You think about the long term. You think about the long term. Because your urge to eat something sweet, your urge to smoke, your urge to do something now, you're thinking about the short term because your willpower is depleted. The glucose level in the body system is low. That's why you have that urge. That's also why in the grocery shopping, at the end of when you're paying, those sweets you tend to buy at that time. That is the time when your willpower is low. So instead, when you are shopping, when you're paying at the cashier, when you feel like buying that sweet that is there, the cake that is there, just look at it and say later. Later. That is one of the ways. Yeah. Don't resist. The more you resist, the worse it becomes. Those smoking friends, I don't smoke. But then you have inside, you have the urge, oh, I want to smoke, I want to smoke. Same thing for sweets. I don't think it's too sweet, but inside you feel like eating. You're trying to control. But instead of saying that, just say later. So telling stories is basically explaining. It forces you to organize your thought, and then at the same time it monitor your own behavior. Now we're talking about self-awareness really. You are more self-aware. You have more awareness of yourself. So you think about the long term. Most of the time, the decisions that we make is usually short term. And then it's usually short term, and it's usually when our willpower is depleted. So the only few ways that you want to increase your willpower over the long term is do something consistently. And then it becomes so consistent, it becomes your habit. Once it becomes your habit, it becomes your belief system. Just like meditating. You start with meditating, first few times it's very tough. Then you persist. Once you persist, it becomes your habit. Once it becomes your habit, your friend will say, that's what he usually do. Then it becomes your belief system. You are a meditator. Same thing for reading. After reading a long time, it becomes a habit. Then your friend will say, this is a reader. He always reads books. Then it becomes his belief. Habit, belief. Then his willpower will go up higher and higher. In this case, like David Blaine. So resisting food, you guys know how to resist food. And then if your colleague sing a song to you, now you don't want it to repeat in your head, you guys know what to do. Play the whole song. Huh? And then after knowing all this, you can do a lot of things to yourself. At the same time, for kids, what do you do for kids? For kids, the only thing to train their willpower is to delay their gratification. Do you all know delay gratification? So it's like putting something that they want on the table and then ask them to wait a while. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or wait until I come back. Yeah. 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 So you just tell this kid to come in to wait for a while. So maybe the first time you do it, you can only wait for 2 minutes. And then over the few days, over the months, you keep repeating. So from 2 minutes, it becomes longer and longer and longer. Yeah. 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 So the more delay gratification, the better it is. Because when you are delaying gratification, if you look in the adult world, delay gratification means you are looking long term. Yeah. So it's same thing for all those criminals. When you ask all these criminals all these questions, those experiments that researchers have done, usually they'll find that criminals they don't delay their gratification. Everything they want is short term. So for kids, the best way to train is to train long-term thinking. Then ask them why questions. You ask them whatever you want to ask them, you just ask them why. Why do you want to eat that? Why do you want to eat this? Why do you want to eat that? Why do we need to cook? They think more and then delay gratification. And then I'd just like to end this with 2 quotes. The first one is, you produce more if you use self-control to form a daily habit. So daily habit is actually quite important. Like your prayers that you do 5 times a day. And then when you do it properly. When you recite whatever, you recite it properly. Because over that time that you do it, you are actually training your self-control, your willpower. You're actually controlling your thoughts, whatever that's coming in. So just focus on reciting whatever you need to recite. Control you in a way you are controlling your emotions, your impulse control, your performance control. So the last quote I want to before I end this is this quote is actually from Lady Gaga. She said, "When you live today, you don't live loving me more, you live loving yourself more." Very similar to delayed gratification as well. You love yourself more, you know what to do. All right, thank you guys.